Actually, it's class 6 today, no? Class 6, Aditta Pariyaya Sutta, S 35.28. S is Sangyutta Nikaya. MV is Mahāvagga. Mahāvagga is the historical opening chapter of the Vinaya, where you find the story of the first roughly first 10-20 years of the Buddha's life. 1.21, chapter 1, part 21. Okay. Now, when we look at religion generally, we see religion likes to tell stories, lots of stories, and very often the preachers expect us to actually believe those stories as real. Some religions take it that way. All those amazing things, miraculous things actually happen. Until modern times, science and modern knowledge show that all these things are not possible. Then only they drag their legs and say, "Oh, okay, this is all symbolic, metaphorical." So this is what is happening to religion. Many religions, if they really want to survive with intelligent people, they will say, "Okay, some of these stories they're not real, they are symbolic, and so on." Right? So you find lots of these kind of stories in religion. Now, in this sense, you can say the Buddha's teaching, early Buddhism, is not a religion, although in later times you find lots of religious aspects. And today you find Buddhism has various kinds of Buddhism has got so many stories and so on, which people actually believe to be really happening. Now, the thing about religion is that we are always expected to worship something, believe in something, do something with an object. It's always something external, okay? It's always something outside of us. So these two things, the stories which are to be taken as real, and this idea of looking for answers outside of ourselves are very common characteristics of other religions, or religion in general, if we don't count Buddhism as a religion. I say this because in early Buddhism, I'm very careful because I don't want to add in too many Buddhisms. So I only talk about early Buddhism because it is easier to talk in this way about what the Buddha actually taught. Because after the Buddha, there's so many new things were added in, it becomes very complicated, and it's not easy to talk like this. So when we look at early Buddhism, we find that there are many stories which are metaphorical. And the Buddha was a very good storyteller, and he often uses humor, which is called wry humor. You don't notice it, but it's there. His language is very humorous. You might even say British humor. It's very subtle. We will be doing one of the suttas, for example, called the Aganya Sutta. It's about, the sutta is supposed to be about the origin of the world, how our universe started and so on. But the Buddha was actually poking fun at the Brahmins. Okay, so there you are. You have this, on one level there's a story. On another level, the Buddha is talking about human behavior in general. Now, the other point about religion making us look for things outside, in Buddhism, it's just the other way around, just the opposite. We look for answers within us, at least if you follow early Buddhism. Sadly, you find this attitude is not so common. If you go to the temples, for example, right? First thing, if there's an exam coming, you probably go to a monk, ask for blessings, so you pass your exams. And if you fail your exam, then you can go back and complain to the monk. So that is looking for external answers to something you should be doing yourself, right? So the Buddha is always telling, look for it inside you. All right. Now this sutta is about fire. Okay. Now if you look at the title, it's Aditta Pariyaya Sutta. Okay. Aditta here means burning. Okay, burning. In fact, Aditta in Thai becomes Atit. So Thai is called the sun, Pra-Atit. Now, Pariyāya, you can translate as metaphor, if you like, or exposition. This Pariyāya is a very tricky word. It's a very important word. In fact, I'm going to write an essay on just this word because this is the method of teaching which the Buddha often uses. He says, okay, I'm going to teach you Pariyāyena. I'm going to teach you in a manner of speaking, as a metaphor. Okay? So in other words, when you put into language, that's how it will sound like, but when you actually experience it, you will go to a higher level. Alright? For example, an example of Pariyāyena, okay, speaking metaphorically, speaking in a manner of speaking. Once somebody went to see this young monk and asked the monk, how many kind of feelings did the Buddha teach? So the monk said, okay, so many feelings, maybe 3 feelings. But then this man said, oh no, the Buddha taught me only 2 feelings, and so on. So he was very adamant. He was not happy with this monk. He says, no, you got it wrong. So this poor young monk got rather worried. He thought, could I be wrong? So he went to see the Buddha. He says, and told the Buddha what happened. The Buddha says, well, when you talk about feelings, you can talk in so many ways. You can talk about the 1 feeling, the 2 feelings, the 3 feelings, 5, 7, and so on. Okay? So for example, when we talk about 2 feelings, you can talk about pleasant feeling, painful feeling, right? 3 feelings, pleasant, painful, neutral, and so on. Okay? In our latest volume, 56, ST 56B, we look a lot on feelings. Okay? So the Buddha talks in terms of this Pariyāyena, in different ways of talking, okay, to kind of bring it down to the level of our understanding. Right? So you see this in this sutta, doing something miraculous. This teaching made these 1,000 erstwhile fire worshippers, ex-fire worshippers, they became arahats. Of course, here you may wonder, wow, just listening to the Buddha, people can become arahats. But this is what we see. The end result. Okay? But we must remember what brought all these 1,000 fire worshipping ascetics to be awakened to become arahats in this life. Now in our countries, Malaysia and Singapore, we have this famous fruit called durian. It's popular now, it's being exported to other countries, so it's become very expensive for locals to eat it, unless you have your own durian grove. Okay, so this durian takes years, about 6 or 7 years to grow, and you can't pluck it. So you normally would guard this precious fruit. They're very expensive, They can cost up to $20-30 in Singapore, one good one. So, and that's regarded as cheap, by the way. So you have to kind of guard it at night, especially. Imagine if you have a big durian grove, it's going to have a big problem. You have to wait, and then you hear a thump. Then the durian has dropped. You go and collect it before the squirrels and other animals steal it. That's possible too. So this durian just drops. You see, the moment of dropping is sudden, But then this durian, remember, it took 7 years to grow the tree. All right. So we all have heard of, like, for example, someone becoming a stream winner, and then we are told that within 7 lives at the most, this person would attain arahathood, would awaken. Remember, 7 lives is not like fixed 7 lives like our lives now. Because the stream winners are so morally virtuous, they can be reborn as devas, and the devas' lives are very long. And we are reborn higher up as Brahmas, even they can live for many world cycles. So 7 lives can be very, very long indeed. Right? So it's just numbers are all relative in that sense. But definitely they will live good moral lives, and they're on the way to awakening in due course. So these are some cases where the Buddha uses the term, various terms in different ways. So the theme is fire, or in this case burning, okay, Āditta, burning. The word for fire is agi. Agi in Sanskrit is Agni. And Agni is closely related to Latin ignis. So you have names like Agnes and so on. Igneous rocks are rocks, that come from volcanoes. So they're all interconnected to mean fire. Okay? So the Buddha used this idea of fire and gave it a new meaning. And the Buddha often does this. For example, we have the Buddha talking about to a layman called Ugatasarira. It means he has a big body, he's quite fat. The Buddha told him that there are 3 kinds of fire which you should respect. Because obviously he's a Brahmin, he worships fire, so the Buddha says, well, there is the real fire you should be worshipping. The first fire is the fire for oblation. Okay, that's the fire you're supposed to make offerings to. So this Brahmin will be smiling and say, wow, that's what I'm doing. But the Buddha says, no, it's not the one you're praying to. This fire for oblation are your parents, your father and your mother, because they are the real gods, capital G gods. They are the ones who brought you into this world. They are the ones who created you. They are the ones who gave you life. They are the ones who humanize you. Right? So you should make offerings to them, support them. So this is the first fire. Right? Then the second fire is the household fire. Right? So here again the Brahmin thought, oh, that's nice. We all have a household fire, a sacred fire in the house. The Buddha said, no, that's not what I mean. The sacred fire here are your family members. You should take care of them, support them. That's your task. And the third fire is the fire for offerings, okay, dakineya. And this is who are this fire? These are the religious practitioners, the monks and the nuns who are really good, who are not intoxicated, who keep the precepts, who practice, support them. And that way you do a lot of good merits. You gain a lot of merits. Okay. Now we all have heard this. Sounds very familiar, all these stories, right? Because you have a long sutta called the Sigalovana Sutta, where you see the Buddha meeting this young man, Sigala, worshipping the 6 directions because his father had died, and his father instructed him to worship the 6th direction, knowing that he will meet the Buddha. So it's a skillful means. Okay. Then the Buddha said, do you know what the 6 directions really are? I said, oh, these are gods, from our ancient beliefs. The Buddha said, oh, there's something even more close to you. These 6 directions are your own life. You have 6 duties to perform, right? So the Buddha went on to elaborate in that sutta. The 6 social duties and reciprocal duties. A beautiful sutta for social harmony, social progress. So you see here the Buddha taking all these religious ideas, miraculous stories, and give them practical meaning, something we can internalize, something outside, but we bring it in home, inside us. We can practice, right? And we will see this idea beautifully seen, beautifully structured in this sutta, which we're going to now. Okay, so let's go into the sutta itself, the translation, the Aditta Pariyaya Sutta. I think it's on page 59, is it? For the translation further down, yeah, coming to it already. Some more down a bit. You should see the title there. Further, some more down, some more. A bit more. Yes. That's the one. Okay, there you are. Okay, so at one time the Blessed One was staying at Gaya Sisa, Gaya Head. Okay, so this is the name of a place. Probably it's a big rock there, Gaya Sisa. Sisa means head. Okay, with 1,000 monks. So these are the method hair ascetics, fire worshippers, before they became monks. Okay, just to go back a little bit, you notice in the title, the third line says the fire sermon. It is very popular. It's called a fire sermon. In fact, this discourse is so popular, it even influenced this poet, Irish poet called T.S. Eliot, who used this fire theme in his poem, The Wasteland. Okay, so you find all these great Buddhist teachings also influence Western literature, Oriental literature, right? So here we have the setting. We as a rule start with the locale, the place where the Buddha taught. What is interesting is we are often told where the Buddha taught, what the Buddha taught, but we are rarely told when or exactly when the Buddha taught. The reason, however, in the Chinese tradition, you find that it is so meticulous. They go down to almost a minute, if you like, in the day when something happened. For example, they will say, monk A translated this sutta in this year, in this month, on this day he finished, during the reign of this emperor, and in this temple, and so on, very detailed. Okay, but the Pali suttas are not so detailed in that way. They're not historically detailed. But what is the reason here? Because whenever the sutta is taught, like now, right now, the Buddha is speaking to us. That is why I love suttas, It's not about something I know and I'm sharing with you, but it's rather I'm telling you, look, this is what the sutta, this is what the Buddha has taught 2,500 years ago. And these great arahats, these great monks of the past have preserved these teachings for us. Why not go directly to this first level teaching? Because without this first level root teachings, you don't have other teachings. And these are the ones that would bring us awakening, not the other teachings, which are much watered down and so many new things added. So there is no mention of exact time, because right now this sutta is coming to us. Now is the time. The sutta is not a historical record. It is an experiential document teaching us how to gain the very same awakening that the Buddha has attained. Not to become like the Buddha, but you can become Buddha, awaken. Okay? To become an arahat is, in a sense, to become Buddha, to be awakened. They are no different. The only difference is the Buddha arose first, the arahats later. Of course, we don't talk about powers here, right? Because some religious people like to talk about, the Buddha has more powers and the arahats have less powers. But the powers do not end suffering, do not end rebirth, do not bring awakening. Right? So we are talking about awakening here. So we've got to go down to basics, in other words. All right. Section 2, there the Blessed One addressed the monks thus. So here we have the Buddha himself talking to the monks. Of course, all these two lines are from the narrator. Okay, the Buddha didn't speak these words, these are from the narrator to make it convenient for us to know who's talking and what is coming. Then you have the modern open quotes. Bhikshus, these are the monks. So by this time, the what do you call these method ascetics, they were monks already. Before that, the Buddha probably talked to them many things, and there was a lot of stories about some miracles going on, and then they. Let me just quickly tell you what happened with this fire worshipping ascetics first, so that we have a good idea what's going on in these teachings. You have these three brothers, the Kassapa brothers. Okay, so the eldest brother lives upriver, and then the second one somewhere in the middle, and then lowest part of the river is the youngest brother. They're all fire worshippers. India, fire worshipping village. The eldest brother has 500 monks, 500 followers rather. The second brother 250, and the third 250, so totaling 1,000. So the Buddha goes to see this Kassapa. Remember, there are lots of Kassapas. Kassapa is simply a family name, okay? Like Tan is very common. So he goes to see Kassapa, the fire worshipper, right? So the fire worship, Kassapa was not impressed with the Buddha. He thought that, oh, he's the Arahant, not the Buddha. Because there are lots of things going on. These are just highlights. So the Buddha went up to him and just looked at him and said, Kassapa, I know what you're thinking. You think you're an Arahant, I'm not an Arahant. Okay, so he told right away to Kassapa. So first Kassapa was surprised, wow, but still not impressed. He refused to accept the fact that the Buddha was enlightened. After all, look, I'm a fire worshipper, I've been worshipping for decades. So he was, in fact, a little annoyed that the Buddha has this kind of knowledge. Because all this knowledge, people talk about it. So some teachers are rumored to have more than others. So night came, and the Buddha had to rest, find a place to rest. Now, it is customary that whenever a holy man goes to the ashram or the center of another holy man, they would welcome him and give him some space to live, to stay the night. Kassapa was reluctant at first, so he's indirectly hinted to the Buddha. I said, oh, we only have this fire shed, the fire hut. But there is this rather dangerous serpent living in a fire hut. Are you sure you want to go there? Well, I'm not sure exactly how the Buddha replied, but he said something like, oh, don't worry about that, something like, I like serpents, or, I show metta to them, something like that. So the Buddha quietly went to this fire hut and sat down there and meditated. It seems that throughout the night there were sounds and bright lights in the fire hut. And Kassapa and the fire worshipper will say, oh, that's too bad, he's gone, that serpent must have mauled him. And that's what they thought, see? And in the morning, he came out of the hut, very calm and holding the bowl. And Kassapa asked, where is that serpent? Oh, the Buddha said, oh, he's in my bowl. He's in his arms bowl. So that's one of the miracles the Buddha performed. And the story went on according to the Vinaya record. There's so many other miracles are performed. For example, it's a duel of miracles according to the story. Okay, Kassapa would perform one, and then the Buddha would counter with another, and so on. But one particular one which I liked very much was when they went down, when the Buddha went down to the river to wash. Now you notice in the cover of this today's class, there's this very beautiful picture of monks by the river. I'm happy that this actually depicts the Kassapa brothers beside the river. So the Buddha goes down to the river to wash. And apparently there was a bit of high water at that time. Okay, the river was much bigger than the river in this picture anyway. And India is full of big rivers. So this, for a while the Buddha was not seen. Okay, and this Kassapa has some compassion. He was very worried. Said, "Oh dear, could be the Buddha have drowned or washed away by the waters?" And they all rushed down to look for him. And as they looked, they saw a bright figure standing on the water with a radiance all around. That's the Buddha, standing on water. Okay, so this is an ancient water walking miracle already found in the Buddhist texts 2,500 years ago, right? So it went on like that, right? And apparently Kassapa was not impressed, right? Well, I made a little error in this story. Actually, the last point that changed Kassapa was when Kassapa thought that the Buddha was an Arhat and that he is an Arhat, and the Buddha said, I know what you're thinking, that you are an Arhat and I'm not. So Kassapa said, oh wow, okay. Alright, so he was convinced and he listened to the teachings and so on. See, because once he opens up his mind and is ready for the teaching, and then the Buddha inspired the leader. Once a leader accepts a change, becomes a monk, the other followers will follow suit. So the Buddha gave them teachings, and they are ready, their mind is peaceful, then the Buddha said, okay, now, of course, the Buddha teaches them this fire sermon, alright? That sermon is very simple, the discourse is very simple, alright? Look at the next section. The all, okay? Bhikshus, all is burning. Sabbang Āditta. Okay, notice the Pali is singular, so I follow the Pali. Yeah? The all is burning. And bhikshus, what is the all that is burning? The I, bhikshus, is burning. Forms are burning. I consciousness is burning. Eye contact is burning. And whatever feeling that arises with eye contact as condition, whether pleasant or painful or neutral, that too is burning. Burning with what? Burning with the fire of lust, with the fire of hate, with the fire of delusion, burning with birth, decay and death, with grief, lamentation, physical pain, mental pain, and despair, I say. The Buddha adds the I say to stress. This is his teaching. Okay, this is the first part. This is the key paragraph that we must carefully study and understand. This is called a template, because the rest, this template will be repeated 5 times. Now let us have a quick peek first. A quick peek, what is this? What is the paradigm? What is the teaching about? Okay, you see here in the Sutta Discovery series, we highlight, so for convenience, the I in bold. Then you look further down, 4, 2 with the ear. And then if you go further down, 3, 4, 5, ear, and then you have the nose, the tongue, body, and then the last one, 6, is mind. So at once we know, okay, this is talking about the 6 sense bases. Okay, the paradigm is the 6 sense bases. The theme is the 6 sense bases. Okay, let's go back to the top now. Okay, so now we have to analyze what is the Buddha teaching here. First line, the I, bhikshus, is burning. No, your eyes, my eyes are not burning at all. Of course, sometimes if you read too much or you watch the screen too long, your eyes may feel like it's smart, Sometimes we say it burns, but it's not this kind of burning. So the Buddha is talking about something else. So imagine the moment the Buddha says the eye is burning, that already catches the snake by the head. The Kassapa brothers, these worshippers of fire, already say, wow, fire. When you say fire, their interest light up, you see. But here, the Buddha is saying the eye is burning. It's no more talking about the normal fire that you feel warm with. And not just the eye, form also are burning. Why form? Eye is the sense base, inner sense faculty. Form is the outer, the external sense faculty, or sense object. Okay? Sense plus object. Both are on fire. Let's just take it like that for a while. Now, eye and form alone are not enough. They can't function like that, because you can take a dead man's eye and nothing happens, Here, there's a third condition. Eye consciousness is burning. All these are familiar language to the fire worshippers. This is a common idea, but the Buddha used it in an amazing wisdom way. I consciousness is burning. You can say burning too if you like. Okay. So I consciousness is the attention that is present. There is I, and then you are looking at the screen now, and your attention is here. The attention is I consciousness. So there is a triangle of experience. I, object, attention. They're complete. When this is complete, there is contact. That's the next line. Eye contact. Eye contact is burning. Contact is from the Pali phassa. Okay? You may think, wow, eye contact sounds so modern. This is the best translation so far translators can come to. If you translate phassa literally, it means touch. I love simple words like touches, but here you can't use it. If you say eye touch, it doesn't sound right. Even if you say eye touching, doesn't sound right. Eye contact is the best because we're talking about something, in a sense, physically or experientially is happening. The eye, object, attention. The triangle of experience is complete. Contact arises. You see me. You see the sutras. Okay? There is contact. Now, when you apply this to the eye, it's even more clear, right? There is the eye. Here you are. This eye. You see eye contact. The pilot, for example, would say, "Oh yes, I have eye contact." Okay. Visual contact, or sometimes we also can say visual contact. All right, but that's not all. Okay. So imagine the triangle. You have the sense, internal sense space, external sense object, the attention. There is contact. When there is contact, feeling arises. Right now, I'm sure most of you will be saying, wow, this is all very interesting. This is so beautiful. That's your feeling, joyful feeling. And very soon you'll be saying, wow, this is getting a bit long. Okay, so you become a bit bored. Okay, that's also is a feeling. Okay, so you have positive feeling, negative feeling, pleasure feeling, painful feeling. All right, so whatever feeling that arises with eye contact as condition, whether pleasant or painful or neutral, that too is burning. Okay. You may say, "Oh, I like to see this. Why should it be burning?" Well, even if there's something you like, you go on looking, you're going to get hurt. I mean, it gets boring, it becomes ugly. That's one simple example. All right. Now, okay. In this section, 3(1), the Buddha has been talking in a metaphorical way. So this time, the Buddha explains it. 3.2. Burning with what? Now it comes a new teaching, right? In brackets 1, we know this is a very familiar teaching of the 6 sense bases. Okay, so what the Buddha is doing here, he has taken the teaching of the 6 sense bases and combines it with the teaching of the 3 roots. How are they connected? By fire. Okay, very interesting, right? Burning with what? Burning with the fire of lust, with the fire of hate, with the fire of delusion. So imagine these fire worshippers, they say, wow, we never heard this before. We're only worshipping Agni, the fire that is God. They believe Agni sleeps in the wood. So by rubbing the fire sticks and then fire arises, the sparks come and then fire arises. They have woken up the God and they worship this God, they get blessings and so on. But here, this God is no more outside. It is inside them, lust. They can feel lust. How does lust burn us? Well, if you ever have lust, you find, wow, really, you feel hot, you feel you want this, you want that. It burns you. Hatred is even worse, it burns us. And it sickens us, it shortens our life, makes us look ugly. Delusion is a fire too. It burns all the goodness in us. Right, so these are the three fires. Greed, hate, delusion. You see, the Buddha could have said, okay, these are the three roots, greed, hate, delusion. He wouldn't have impressed the fire worshippers. Notice how the Buddha beautifully crafted the teaching, presented it with fire. And this really awakened the fire worshippers, ex-fire worshippers, right? And then the Buddha kind of reminded them, so if you have these three fires, then the last line says, burning with birth, decay. If there is birth, there is decay. If there is decay, there is death. These are the three bad things, the three Ds. Okay, decay, disease, death. Now, this is not mentioned here. From the moment we are born, we start decaying. We call it growth, but we are decaying. But once you pass 50, you say you're decaying. But decaying is going on all the time. And then comes death, right? And with that there is grief. You feel sad. Lamentation, we weep and cry. And there is physical pain, you feel sick. And then there's mental pain, you feel sorrow. And despair, you say, oh dear, what's going to happen? Who's going to take care of me? What do I do, right? So the Buddha said that you have all this come. So this is the first very important paragraph we must truly understand. So the next, these fire worshippers just listened, and they were just taking in all these teachings, feeling very good. Now I'm going to read the other sections. So you no need to turn on your microphone. You just read it yourself too. If you can hear me, you just try to follow my voice and read it as you can, so that we have in our minds all the ideas flow from what we have understood of the first bracket 1 verse on the I. Okay, ready? You can read with me on your own. The ear, bhikshus, is burning. Sounds are burning. Ear consciousness is burning. Ear contact is burning, and whatever feeling that arises with ear contact as condition, whether pleasant or painful or neutral, that too is burning. Burning with what? Burning with a fire of lust, with a fire of hate, with a fire of delusion, burning with birth, decay and death, with grief, lamentation, physical pain, mental pain and despair, I say. The nose, bhikshus, is burning. Smells are burning. Nose consciousness is burning. Nose contact is burning. And whatever feeling that arises with nose contact as condition, whether pleasant or painful or neutral, that too is burning. Burning with what? Burning with the fire of lust, with the fire of hate, with the fire of delusion. Burning with birth, decay and death, with grief, lamentation, physical pain, mental pain and despair, I say. The tongue, bhikshus, is burning. Tastes are burning. Tongue consciousness is burning. Tongue contact is burning. And whatever feeling that arises with tongue contact as condition, whether pleasant or painful or neutral, that too is burning. Burning with what? Burning with the fire of lust, the fire of hate, and with the fire of delusion. Burning with birth, decay and death, with grief, lamentation, physical pain, mental pain and despair, I say. The body, bhikshus, is burning. Touch is burning. Body consciousness is burning. Body contact is burning. And whatever feeling that arises with body contact as condition, whether pleasant or painful or neutral, that too is burning. Burning with what? Burning with the fire of lust, with the fire of hate, with the fire of delusion. Burning with birth, decay and death. With grief, lamentation, physical pain, mental pain and despair, I say. The mind, bhikshus, is burning. Thoughts are burning. Mind consciousness is burning. Mind contact is burning. And whatever feeling that arises with mind contact as condition, whether pleasant or painful or neutral, that too is burning. Burning with what? Burning with the fire of lust, with the fire of hate, with the fire of delusion. Burning with birth, decay and death, with grief, lamentation, physical pain and mental pain and despair, I say. So, the sutta ends here. The teaching temporarily ends here. Then next the Buddha says, okay, what do we do with this? The next section is a little deeper. Revulsion. Okay, this sounds familiar. We did this previously too, right? Section 9. Seeing thus, bhikshus, the learned noble disciple is revolves at the eye. He is revolves with forms. He is revolves with eye consciousness. He is revolves with eye contact. He is revolves with whatever feeling arising with eye contact as condition, whether pleasant or painful or neutral. This is a reprise. It's kind of a repeating key teaching that the Buddha is reminding what he has said before up to now is all about. The key word here, of course, is revolves. Now, revolves is a very strong word. It doesn't mean hate here. In a sense, you can use hate metaphorically. You can say, I hate cruelty, something like that, you see, and that actually is a good thing. So hate is not, it depends how you use the word, basically. So revulsion is basically, you know things as they really are. So in other words, the Buddha is saying, now if you know all these things, these 6 sense bases are burning, you should be revulsed by them. You know the danger. You know they are not helpful or you're not good at all. You will have nothing to do with them. One way to understand the meaning of revulse is to have nothing to do with all these things which bring suffering. You remember last week last lesson I mentioned a paper about atamayata, not thatness, having nothing to do with that, having nothing to do with things. The verb is revulse. The state is called atamayata. I'm not going to have anything to do with this. I'm letting this go, renouncing this. The I. You wouldn't be attached to the I. Forms. Because if you are not attached to the I, you also will let go of forms, of I consciousness, of eye contact. And the feelings that come with it also will go away. That's how you overcome it. So here the Buddha gives in a capsule the whole idea of letting go of suffering. Same thing with the ear. He's revolves at the ear with sounds. He's revolves with ear consciousness. He's revolves with ear contact. He's revolves with whatever feeling arising with ear contact as condition, whether pleasant or painful or neutral. He's revolves with the nose, with smells. He's revolves with nose consciousness. He's revolves with nose contact. He's revolves with whatever feeling arising from nose contact as condition, whether pleasant or painful or neutral. He is revolves with the tongue, with taste. He is revolves with tongue consciousness. He is revolves with tongue contact. He is revolves with whatever feeling arising with tongue contact as condition, whether pleasant or painful or neutral. He is revolves with the body, with touch. He is revolves with mind consciousness. He is revolves with body contact. He is revolves with whatever feeling arising with body contact as condition, whether pleasant or painful or neutral. It revolves at the mind, with thoughts. It revolves with mind consciousness. It revolves with mind contact. It revolves with whatever feeling arising with mind contact as condition, whether pleasant or painful or neutral. Okay? So, let's see what happens after that. Put that down. This comes the conclusion, right? So, liberation. Through revulsion, it becomes dispassionate. So once you understand the true nature of all these our senses, you keep them at bay. You're no more excited by them. You're no more attached to them. Then there is dispassion. In other words, you're not caught up with any feeling for them. No more passion for them. Through dispassion, his mind is freed. Our mind is gripped by the desire. So this desire is gone. Our mind is free. When it is freed, there arises the knowledge, freed. Right? Just one word. The mind is freed. He understands. Destroy this birth. The holy life has been lived. What needs to be done has been done. There is no more of this state of being. Notice this is a double inverted commas. Destroy this birth onwards. This is the Arahat pericope. This phrase means the Arahat has arisen. Right? So the sutta really ends here this time. Close quote. This is the tricky part. You remember the opening quote starts right near the start of the sutta. Now this is the ending. Very long quote. So this is called the Buddha word. Okay, and then the conclusion. The narrator tells us, section 10. The Blessed One said this. Right? They always use this word to mark the end of the teaching. The Blessed One said this, not someone else. Blessed One. Satisfied, the monks rejoiced in the Blessed One's word. And while the discourse was being spoken, so while, like somewhere in the middle, the minds of the 1,000 monks were, through non-clinging, freed from the defilements. That is why in line 10 you find the narrator tells us simply the monks were happy. Because they were already arahats, you see. Halfway through the suttas, probably the part where at the end of the sutta, the fire sermon itself, they became arahats. Okay? Right, so just the timing is just nice. Eh?